This story is fascinating to me. The title is Alleged Teen Triggerman in Deadly Community Center Shooting Fired in Self-Defense Won't Be Prosecuted. So it happened behind a community center in Memphis, Tennessee. A 16-year-old boy is dead after this incident. He apparently is the one that initiated this altercation. A 17-year-old boy injured in this and is also the shooter, the surviving shooter that defended himself from the 16-year-old shooter. So it says it happened solely between these two teens. The 16-year-old was attempting to rob the 17-year-old, and at that point, he started, the 17-year-old defended himself with gunfire. So what's interesting about this is that, and this is according to the Shelby County Juvenile Court, they stated that it's imperative to note that the possession of the firearm in question was classified as a misdemeanor. So the 17-year-old is presumably charged with some kind of misdemeanor charge for a minor in possession of a firearm. However, the district attorney's office has clarified that
it says officials with the police department both say the case was not brought before the juvenile court because the Shelby County District Attorney's Office declined prosecution after careful consideration.
Yeah. He's not being charged with anything to do with the actual shooting. I mean, keep in mind, he shot and killed in defense the 16-year-old boy. They've ruled it as a justifiable homicide. That's the fascinating thing about this. So you have a 17-year-old boy illegally carrying a firearm for defense, presumably, and defends himself successfully, may be on the hook for some kind of misdemeanor charge for carrying the gun, but not on the hook for the justifiable homicide itself. That just caught my attention. I'm like, we got to talk about this. This is just, pretty fascinating.
I like this because I think there's a common misconception, and we hear this all the time from people who write into the podcast or in classroom settings or at events and things, where there's a sense of like, in fact, the most common version of the question is probably, if I take my gun into a gun-free zone, into the shopping mall, my job, what XYZ at the post office, XYZ place where I'm not allowed to have the gun, and I get involved in a defensive shooting and I shoot, like, am I going to jail? Am I in trouble? That's generally the version of the question that we hear. And I think that there's two sides of this story that are fun. The first side is, well, you have to remember that you get charged for individual crimes. So if you break a law, you're charged for breaking that law, but it doesn't make all of your other actions illegal, right? It's not like because one element of what you did was criminal, therefore all of what you did is therefore criminal. Like if it's self-defense, it's self-defense, then you're not getting charged with shooting somebody. But if you had the gun in a place you couldn't have it, or in this case, had a gun when you're not allowed to have one, then that's a crime independently, and you could be charged with that crime, right? You could be charged with whatever crime you commit, but that doesn't make all your other actions or behavior illegal. So this is a good representation of that concept.